That could go down a little bit if someone hits pit road and gets those fresh tires.
501 miles.
And remember, Casey Kane's sponsor would like you to, right there on the taillight panel, hashtag Farmers5 on lap 5 to support Casey Kane.
Well, there's no better place than for a boogity, boogity, boogity! Just like a racing ball!
Clean start, but that high group didn't get moving. Matt Kenseth backing up from the outside pole, back to fourth.
Yeah, Mike, he had trouble off turn 2 and had to really get out of the throttle big time.
That's always a little slick over there, off 2.
Martin Truex Jr. will lead the first lap from the pole.
And really, Mike, that's what he needs to do. He needs to lead some laps because he hasn't led any laps much this year at all.
Red Biffle right with a little bit of a gap to Casey Kane in third, then Ambrose and Kenseth, as they settle in single file back to about 12th place.
I believe that guy running second, Larry, that's going to be somebody that's really, really up on the wheel tonight, and it's going to take this thing and try to get it by the horns and rasp it to the ground.
Yeah, we know how bad Greg Biffle in that 16 wants to get to victory lane. It's been well over a year.
2 and 3 wide, deep in the field. Bobby Labonte got caught up high as Regan Smith in the 78 threads the needle, following Jeff Gordon up through. And the 14, the defending Sprint Cup champ Tony Stewart, who wrecked in practice but prior to qualifying, so no penalty for trotting out the backup car because it happened before they qualified.
You know, Mike, Tony's just like his hero, AJ Foyt. Make it hard. Let me make it hard so I can have fun making this up.
Carl Edwards passing David Reagan. Reagan, a former pole sitter here, and of course, Carl knows the way to victory lane in Texas very well.
Darrell, it just appears in the early stages of this race that not a lot of drivers are venturing off the bottom of the racetrack. I think it'll take a few laps before we start working that second groove in.
Yeah, Larry, they got to kind of dust it off. They'll just inch up a little bit, get that bottom working, and then they'll start moving up a car or two wheel. The first thing you know, somebody will start making a lot of good lap times, and everybody will go to the top.
Single file back through 17 positions. Michael?
You know, Darrell, I've talked to a couple of the drivers down in the garage area, and they think this tire isn't conducive to running that high line like we've seen it in the past. Oh, sure, you can go up there and make time, but it seems like they like being on the bottom better this time around. That'll be interesting to follow. We're used to see them scrubbing that wall up high, as Casey Kane will be one of the first guys up there. He ventured halfway up there that turn.
Yeah, I think what we'll see is the tires wear, and the bottom kind of gives up and gets harder and harder to run down there. You just automatically step up the hill whether you want to or not. You're always able to run around the bottom like this on fairly new tires, but it's when the tires start to give up a little bit, you really have much choice but to start letting the car go up the hill.
I've been watching this 11 car with Denny Hamlin, started back in the 13th position. He swept the races here a couple of years ago, and he has made his way to the top 10, even though he's under fire from Jimmy Johnson in that 48.
That's for 10th place. That battle decided for now in favor of Johnson. Jamie McMurray way up the back in turn 1.
I was going to say, Mike, he's found the high groove.
Perhaps by design, because he wanted a launch against Mark Martin down the backstretch.
And that's where it really pays off. So much fast speed. He got up high down in 3 and 4. He saw that had a lot of grip, had some speed. He used that to his advantage, made the pass on Mark Martin off turn 2.
Now that 3 and 4 line he just ran, that may be a little too high right now because he lost that spot back to Mark Martin in the 55.
Tries the same thing in turn 1 this time. Wind it up top, drop to the bottom, get the run down the back straightaway.
That's where it is. I mean, you can get back in the throttle up high like that. It looks like you got 50 more horsepower, but it's really the car's just freer, comes up off the corner with a lot more speed.
They are fighting for 6th place. Just about 3 seconds off the lead right now.
And I'm not so sure that McMurray didn't take Mark by surprise because he did get up there so high and he kind of got by Mark. And I think Mark maybe didn't know he was out there until the spotter hollered at him.
Martin Truex lapping rookie Josh Wise. Scott Riggs has made a pit stop, coming back on track. A lap down. Reed Sorensen, Dave Blaney, and J.J. Yaley also 1 lap down as we're 9 laps in Texas. Martin Truex has led them all.
Well, Truex has been on a tear lately. I mean, the last 3 races of last year, he had some top 10 finishes. He started the first 6 races this year with consistent top 10 finishes. He's a guy that's really sitting there waiting to win a race.
We talked about the Fords, primarily the Roush Fords. Don't forget the 2 Richard Petty Fords, led by Marcus Ambrose in the 9, who moves up into 3rd place ahead of Casey Kane.
You know, Marcus is sitting there, Larry, and he and Todd Parrott, they got to win a race. And that's a racetrack that Todd Parrott's won at before with Elliott Sadler. So seeing Marcus run good doesn't surprise me a bit.
Yeah, it's almost like that 5 car of Casey Kane. He's starting to back up. In fact, Matt, he just lost the position to Matt Kenseth in the 17.
And he just told his team, Larry Mack, that the car really loose on entry, surprisingly even looser across the center of the corner. And he said, Sylvie, this wind is absolutely crazy.
Riding with Kevin Harvick, just ahead of Kyle Busch. And Harvick in 13th place, working the high groove.
And I don't want to disagree with Michael necessarily, but I think you're going to find into this a little bit. Everybody will be running up a little higher. They run the bottom on new tires because it's got a lot of grip. Tires wear off, cars are going to find the top.
Scott Speed, Mike Bliss, and Landon Castle have made unscheduled pit stops. Castle's car steaming a bit.
I've seen several drivers hit pit road already. Dave Blaney in the 36 being one, and they focused on cleaning the grill. We've talked about the wind. That's another thing that happens with the wind. It's blowing a lot of grass and a lot of trash around that gets on the front end opening and blocks that up.
It's not that uncommon here because there's no grandstand down off of turn 2 over there, and all the way down the back and through the infield, it gets such a wind, it picks up all kind of stuff and blows it on the track.
Martin Truex Jr. won his first pole at Texas and his most recent pole yesterday. He's led every lap here.